Next, we're going to look at ways that you can manipulate logarithmic expressions and equations. This is going to come in handy when we start moving towards solving logarithms or exponential equations also, since we use logs in order to solve exponential equations. So in order to simplify them, we need to have a few rules. And really there's three main rules that we're going to use to manipulate our logs. Okay? There's the product rule. So when you've got the log of two things that are multiplied together, you can change it into a sum. So you can take and kind of like you're distributing the log, but you're distributing and changing it to a plus. So instead of log of x times y, it's the log of x plus the log of y. If you are taking the log of something that's being divided, you can turn that into subtraction. Okay? When you turn it into subtraction, it's important that you keep the order right. Okay? Because when you subtract, it's not the same going both ways. So you have to have log of the numerator minus log of the denominator. And the last rule is, if you've got the log of something with a power on it, you can drop that power down in front of the log. So it'd be that power times the log of x. And these rules go either way. So if you have a sum and you want to go back towards multiplying, or if you have a difference you want to go towards divide, you can go either way with these. Okay, so there's two kind of directions you're going to get. They're either going to tell you to expand. Okay, if you want to expand the logarithm, you're going to be moving this way. You're going to be taking, a single logarithm or multiple logarithms and trying to get as many different log sums or differences as you can. If you're condensing, that's going the other way. You're going to try to get just a single log. And we'll practice both of those, and both of those are included in your packet. So let's look at some examples here. If I want to expand this logarithm, okay, I want to get as many logs as possible, I need to look at kind of what's the overall picture on what's going on here. The biggest thing I have going on is I've got this big fraction, so I've got this big division. So that's the first one I want to do. So I'm going to take log of the numerator minus log of the denominator. Now I can expand this one further. Okay, I've got a product here. I've got 3 times x to the fourth. Now I want to do the product first because that 4 is an exponent on the x only, so I can't drop that down in front of this log. Okay, if it was written more this way, okay, if that 4 was on both of these, then I would drop the 4 first. But since the 4 is only an exponent on the x, I need to do the product rule first. So I'm going to split this up into log of 3 plus the log of x to the fourth. This one's a product also, so I'm going to subtract, or I'm going to split that up. Now remember this, I'm subtracting this whole thing. So I'm subtracting, this log turns into log of 2 plus log of b. Now, this one won't change. This one I can drop the 4 down. Here I need to distribute my minus. Okay, and that's expanded. Okay, there's no more rules for me to apply. This is the expanded form. And you can check your answer by going backwards. Okay, and kind of a trick to going backwards is anything that's being subtracted is going to end up on the denominator. Okay, so 2 and b are both going to be in the denominator. 4 is going to go up and be x to the fourth. And it's going to be multiplied by this 3. And these are both positive logs, so that stuff's going to be on the top. If we're condensing, okay, this 5, I'm going to move it up so it's an exponent. Okay, this 2 is going to get moved up also. Okay, now this is, I'm subtracting this log of y. So that's going to be on the denominator. Okay, when I start moving these into a fraction. Okay, this one's positive, so it's on top. This one's positive, so it's on top. And this one's negative, so it's on bottom. So now I've got a condensed logarithm. It's just a single log now instead of having three different ones. So I'm going to put these up and have you guys try these problems. So give it a pause, try to do all these different things. So this is, you know, going back a little bit and trying to do this. And this is from the first lesson. Give these a shot, and then when you're all done, or if you just want to do one at a time, I'll go through these three first. And I'll go through these three and then this one. And then just hit play when you're ready. Alright, first I'm going to expand this. Alright, I'm going to give myself a little more room here. So now I've got an ln, so that means all my stuff is going to get an ln. On the top, so these are going to be my positive ones. I have ln of a cubed plus ln of b. These are going to be my negative ones, so minus ln x minus ln y. Drop the power down. I'm going to have 3 ln a plus ln b minus ln x minus ln y. And that's expanded out. To condense this one, this is positive and these are both negative. So these two things are going to be on the bottom. And the 4, of course, is going to be a power on the x. So I have log base 2. Top is just going to have an a. The bottom will have b and x to the 4. It's important to note that in order to condense, you have to have the same base on all your logs. If you don't, you can't combine them. Okay, for this last one, I'm going to need my calculator. Okay, because 4 to some power, I don't know what power I need to get 4 to whatever to equal 20. So I'm going to take and use my base change formula. I'm going to do log of 20 divided by log of 4. I get 2.16096, and I can check that answer by taking 4 to that power and making sure I get 20 out, and I do. Okay, so if you had trouble with those, pause again, try to see if you can get these done, and then hit play again. Alright, so I'm going to expand this one. If you notice, I've got this big square root. There's two things you can do with that. You can just treat it as though you've got that half power on everything, or you could distribute the power into each one if you want. It'll all end up being the same, just different representations. So I'm going to keep it there because I don't want to distribute. So I'm just going to bring it down in front. So I'm going to have half log of this stuff. Okay, now remember that this 1/2 is going to go to every log now because it's 1/2 times whatever this comes out to be. So if I want to keep it separated like that, it's going to be 1/2. Okay, the log of this is going to expand. The 2 will come down. Okay, and this is going to be minus because it's on the bottom, and the 3 will come in front. And then if I distribute my 1/2, I'll have log of x minus 3/2 log of y. Okay. Next I'm going to condense. I'm going to condense inside the brackets first and deal with the 2 last. So inside the brackets, I've got this one's negative, this one's negative. So those two things will be on the bottom. This one's positive, so it'll be on top. So I have ln, top is x, bottom is both of these things. Okay. So don't let the plus sign mess you up and start introducing extra logs. Okay, and I've got this 2 sitting outside there, so that 2 is going to come up and be an exponent on this whole thing. Okay, so that moves up to be this. I can simplify in here a little bit. If I combine those, that's difference of squares. So I'd have x squared from the exponent over x squared, minus 1 squared. Okay, you wouldn't have to distribute the power there if you wanted to leave it outside the big parentheses. That's fine too. This one, use my base change formula again. This time I'll use ln. So I can do ln of 15 divided by ln of 2. And I get 3.907. Without a calculator, I just need to know 5 to what power equals 100. Okay, well, 5 to a power isn't going to equal 100. But what I can do is I can change this 100 so that it's log base 5 of, now let's do 25 times 4. Well, log base 5 of 25, that's the same as log base 5 of 5 squared. Since I'm timesing, I change that to a plus. Log base 5 of 4. Drop the power down on this one, so I'm going to have 2 log of 5 to the 5 plus log base 5 of 4. So log base 5 of 5 is 1, because 5 to the 1 is 5. So this is just 2 plus the log base 5 of 4. And that's all as far as I go without a calculator. Okay, so that's manipulating logarithms, expanding, condensing. These are your main rules, so make sure you've got those written down.